Somewhere in this region of the world, this snake's about to jump from 90 feet up in a tree. Not because it's suicidal, but because it can fly. That's definitely proof that even snakes get tired of ground traffic. Oh, by the way, that snake is your mom, and there she goes. Grain. You've picked quite the moment to hatch, just in time to witness her one-way flight to a permanent child-free vacation. You're now on your own with your siblings with absolutely no instruction for what comes next. I hate to tell you this since you can't even crawl right, but your first flying lesson starts right now. And by lesson, I mean one flight attempt where it's a race between your instincts and gravity, and second place is not an option. Your siblings volunteer as test pilots. They're going to demonstrate how it's done. Okay, maybe not him. That's one way to meet the ground. Well, I guess being born with the ability to fly doesn't mean being born with the ability to land. This sibling appears to have mastered the basics. Well, here goes nothing. Might as well follow him to that branch. That's a proper J-shape hang, meant to be your launch position, not just a dramatic pose for your last selfie. And? Wow. It's your turn now. Your muscles tense up for your first diving competition, except the pool's about 90 feet of pure air and your only safety net is, well, there isn't one. No pressure, but those dots circling above are eagles, and they're not exactly here to welcome you to the neighborhood. Apparently this wasn't challenging enough already. Mother Nature really has a sense of humor today. Well, YOLO. Look at that. Those spreading ribs of yours just turned you into a living pancake, doubling your body size. You're doing this slick S-shaped dance through the air. Not because you're panicking. Okay, maybe a little, but... Oof, that was close. As I was saying before we were so rudely interrupted, those side-to-side movements aren't just for dodging your responsibilities. You're basically swimming through the air to keep your stability and precisely change direction to dodge predators and obstacles. Physics is wild. Your body instinctively starts to slow down as you approach your target branch. Good thing, because this landing needs to be more calculated than a pro chess move. Except checkmate here means death. Congratulations, you didn't die. So far. But let's rewind about 20 million years to see how we got here. Your great-great times a million grandparents weren't exactly the aerial acrobats you are today. Back then, life was simple. Climb trees, eat stuff, try not to become stuff that gets eaten. When they needed to move between trees, they had two options. Take the long way around or experience the excitement of falling and see what happens. The ground wasn't any friendlier back then. Monitor lizards have been running the same all-you-can-eat buffet for millions of years. At some point, some of your ancestors got creative during their falls. Most of the time it didn't work, but sometimes they got results. The ones who figured out this trick had a slightly better chance of not becoming lunch, and that's where your genes were starting to take notes. Fast forward through a few million years of trial and error, and your ancestors' ribs started spreading wider. Their scales got more flexible, and their bodies learned that sweet S-shaped wiggle. Somewhere between 10 and 5 million years ago, these evolutionary happy accidents became the family business. Those who couldn't spread their ribs got their branch of the family tree pruned, while the ones who mastered the art of not dying kept passing on their genes to the next generation. So here you are, millions of years of evolution compressed into one sleek aerodynamic package. Time for you to discover that genetic heritage that those countless ancestors fought so hard to pass down to you. Life up here follows one simple rule. The ground is lava. Monitor lizards, civets, and larger snakes patrol below. They play a fun game called Catch the Falling Snake, so landing there is... Actually, better not to think about this for now. Let's be honest, your first few flights are pure chaos theory in action. Near misses, accidental successes, and definitely some moments that would have gone viral if snakes had smartphones. Which they don't. Each landing teaches you something new, like how to read the wind and where to aim your next jump. Everyone else sees trees. Flying snakes see a network of highways where every branch is an exit and every gap is an express lane. The higher the branch, the better the spot, at least according to your current real estate checklist. Though, unlike real estate agents, your competitors are perfectly fine with eating you if you get too close to their property. And up here, every promising branch could hide a hungry predator, so you always have to stay alert. After all this aerial acrobatics, you're getting hungry. Let's see what's on the menu. Tree-dwelling lizards, frogs, insects. Sadly, your Uber Eats driver gave up after seeing the 90-foot climb. Looks like you'll have to master the art of self-service. Look at that, your first potential snack. This is your chance. You first analyze your launch spot, knowing each branch offers a different trajectory, wind exposure, and angles of attack. The wind conditions, the angle, everything's perfect. This is the moment all that training's led to. Your body flattens out in the perfect silent approach from above. No footsteps, no rustling leaves, just pure aerial ninja skills. And Nice try, but your lunch is already in another postal code. A few more embarrassing attempts follow, but eventually you end up catching something. It's not much, but it'll do. Time to get back to premium branch hunting because the forest's hottest listings don't stay vacant for long. Look who else picked the same branch. Wait, oh, that's your sibling from this morning. Unfortunately, they're not here to start a real estate family business with you. You decide to retreat and... Okay, time to update the checklist. Who would have thought being a coward would save your life? You go and pick that spot instead for your next adventure. However, something doesn't feel right. But what? Yeah, right. Gravity. You know what touching the ground means. Too bad it looks like this is where your story ends. Wait. Apparently you're so tiny that this giant thought you were just another fallen branch. Remember, you're currently barely 10 inches long and... Time to get the hell out of here. Your body instinctively knows what to do. Grip the bark with your belly, arch forward, anchor your rear, repeat. Look at you go, riding those microscopic ridges all the way up. Much safer up here. Lucky you, no predator was nearby to witness your mistake. The view's way better from this height. As weeks pass, your routine consists of hunting during the day and cozying up in tree hollows during the night. Each season brings different winds, and you've learned to adjust your flight patterns accordingly. 2 years later, you've turned into a fully grown adult flying snake. You're now 40 inches long and have upgraded your diet, from whatever crawls slowest to premium aerial delicacy. Not only that, but you can now glide up to 330 feet in optimal conditions. For every story you drop, you're covering 3 stories forward, outpacing many winged flyers in pure glide efficiency. However, among flying snakes, the air highway system follows strict rules you know nothing about so far. Your species isn't exactly territorial, but you've learned the hard way that better launch spots aren't just for convenience. Your life literally depends on it. And up here, the neighbors aren't friendly. Other flying snakes want the same prime spots, and they're not interested in sharing. The air also gets busy during hunting hours. Everyone's trying not to become someone else's lunch while hunting for their own. Flying predators are still trying to use you as their snack, but you've gotten used to it, and now that you look the part, you've raised your standards when it comes to picking a launch spot. Speaking of which, the morning starts with what looks like a perfect branch conquest. That one's perfect. Clear angle, strong, good height. This one's perfect for hunting without becoming a bird's breakfast. Speaking of breakfast, you're just settling in, admiring how this prime spot gives you the perfect vantage point over your hunting grounds. Unfortunately, someone else had the same idea. The challenger tries to impress you. Very cute. Sorry, but that can't happen. Flying snakes don't actually fight. No biting, no slapping, not even a strongly worded letter. Instead, it's a passive-aggressive talent contest. Sometimes just looking big enough is enough to make the other guy back off, but it doesn't always work. Now it's a test of patience, or rather a test of who doesn't have any. Your rival leaps off the branch without a second thought, and you follow close behind. Your speed through the air matches his reckless start with a measured, controlled glide. You show off your flying skills. If you're wondering if flying snakes actually do that, they don't. But it made you look good. As you two approach the target, one problem arises. 2 snakes, 1 branch. The rival hesitates for just a second, and that's all it takes. You capitalize on his hesitation and land on the branch first, leaving your rival with nothing to grab onto. His body twists mid-air, scrambling for another branch that doesn't exist. No choice but to land on the ground. You both know what that means. Your new branch becomes your watchtower. Hours pass while you remain perfectly still, your body curved against the bark. Even the most eagle-eyed predators can't spot you when you're in stealth mode. After what feels like an eternity of cosplaying as a branch, your body readies itself for that perfect moment to strike. But sometimes, dinner has other plans. 3 years of this aerial lifestyle and you've mastered every trick in the book. Or so you thought. Surviving this far comes with a perk. Mating season's arrived, and those gliding skills are about to come in handy. Speaking of which, there she is. A female paradise-flying snake, casually draped over a branch like she's posing for Snake Vogue. But not so fast. You've got some competition. Like everything else in a flying snake's life, violence is not an option. Instead of engaging in brutal fights, you'll compete through displays of agility to impress the female. The goal is to discourage rivals under the silent judgment of the female who might not even stick around for the whole performance. One by one, males show off their best aerial skills. It's your turn. You spread those ribs, making yourself look like a flying carpet that has ambition. The key is confidence, or at least faking it till you make it. Finally, after what feels like an eternity of aerial performances, she makes her choice. It's not you. Off they go to their love nest. Sorry, bud. But wait, it's not over. You've caught another female's attention. That's the good part of being polygynous. The female doesn't matter since you'll mate with many of them anyway. 15 minutes later, your genes are secured, so you do exactly what any responsible flying snake soon-to-be father would do. Absolutely nothing and leave. But let's assume you're a female instead of a male. You're on your own now for the next 3 months of carrying the next generation of aerial acrobats. During this very vulnerable period where your entire genetic legacy is at stake, you have a brilliant survival strategy planned, maintaining your daily near-death experiences. You actually keep your normal routine as if nothing happened, hunting, basking, and moving through the canopy while avoiding predators. Hopefully, 3 months later, you're still alive and your 12 eggs are fully mature. So you start scouting for a safe and hidden spot. This place is perfect. For the next 20 minutes, you deposit your clutch. How wonderful. In about 2.5 months, your kids will finally hatch, but you won't be there to see them. Remember that touching moment when you saw your mom take off right after you hatched? That was a lie. It wasn't your mom. You see, female flying snakes don't have the patience to wait 80 days, and before eggs even start to incubate on their own, you're gone. And time flies when you're not becoming bird food. You're now 8 years older, and those spectacular aerial maneuvers aren't quite what they used to be. Your muscles don't snap into that perfect J shape like they once did. Remember those 330-foot glides? Now they're more like cautious hops between branches. According to your new flight manual, shorter distances means fewer chances to become someone's lunch. Your hunting strategy's evolved. The good news is those slower tree frogs don't see you coming. The bad news is neither do you. The young snakes have now claimed the penthouse branches, pushing you down to the middle floors. But the rent's cheaper and your neighbors are mostly retired woodpeckers and old flying snakes just like you. Your daily routine now consists of finding the perfect ambush spot and staying there. Not as a hunting strategy like it used to, but because you don't have the choice. You now avoid those superior hunting branches you used to compete for as the new generation doesn't appreciate your vintage gliding techniques. Today starts like any other. You're eyeing a particularly plump tree frog on a nearby branch. The shot looks easy enough, just a quick glide like you've done thousands of times before. You line up for the jump, muscles protesting every move. The launch starts well enough until it doesn't. Your body doesn't flatten quite right. That essential midair correction comes too late. Suddenly, that target branch looks very far away. Physics, your old friend, is now your worst enemy. As the ground rushes up to meet you, you can't help but appreciate the irony. All those years of dodging predators and gravity turns out to be the ultimate hunter. Those dots moving below aren't welcoming party members, and you're about to be the guest of honor at a very different kind of party. So, after all, it wasn't a lie. The ground is indeed lava.